गाइस तो मैंने डिसाइड किया है कि मेरे पास जो ये सारे बुक्स दिख रहे हैं उसे पढ़ना है मुझे। ये गोल है मेरे 2026 की फर्स्ट मंथ का। हाँ, थोड़ा लेट स्टार्ट किया क्योंकि शुरू शुरू में जोश रहता है फिर ख़त्म हो जाता है, इसलिए मैं बाद में शुरू करती हूँ जब ख़त्म हो जाता है। क्या द बुक इज़ द पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ। शुरू करें। मैं सिर्फ रीड करूँगी, बाद में क्या समझ में आता है बाद में वो कैप्शन में डाल दूँगी, ठीक है। ह्यूमन डेस्टिनी। If some being from outer space were to traverse the universe in a spaceship and land on the planet Earth, he would be dumbfounded at the uniqueness of what he saw, namely human beings and many other forms of life. For the Earth in sustaining this life form is the outstanding exceptions amongst all the stellar bodies which are scattered throughout the immensity of the cosmos. Amongst the myriad stars in the vastness of space, there are certainly a number of other planets in existence unlike the Earth. They are constantly revolving around their suns in their many respective galaxies. But on the gaseous or dry rocky surface, there is no trace of life as we know it. If indeed there is a life on this earth, it is only because of the life sustaining things that are found in abundance everywhere. All those pro life factors which add up to the human life support system. Those who are born on this planet Earth live their entire life here do not realize the astonishing singularity of nature. The reason is that having seen the earth since childhood, day in and day out, they have become habituated to its many features. Thus, they fail to notice how exceptional are their physical surroundings. Had it not been so, every morning they would cry out, "Oh, what a beautiful earth! What a perfect world!" The unique nature of the life giving aspect of the planet Earth has existed since time immemorial. But it is only found in modern times that scientific discoveries have made this fact common knowledge. The men of today appreciate to a far greater extent than ever before the very special nature of the Earth's life support system. What is this life support system? It is a gift which has been given to men by a giver. In such a situation, it is essential that man should strive to recognize this his benefactor, acknowledge the giver of this gift, and submit to him wholeheartedly. And having done his best to understand why the giver has bestowed this unique gift upon him, he should lead his life in accordance with the will of the giver, but this does not happen. Man, in leading his life in this world, tries to build a bright future for himself and his children, and ultimately builds a civilization for himself. But it never occurs to him that he should attempt to find out what has created the unique create system which sustained his life or what maker wants from human beings. Moreover, he has no clear appreciation of the fact that everything in the world has its right use and its wrong use. Take, for instance, iron, a gift from our Creator. One use of iron is the construction of useful machines, whereas another use iron is the manufacture of destructive weapons. Evidently, the manufacture of useful machines is the right use, while the manufacture of destructive weapons is the wrong use. The same is true of nature's life support system in that it may be looked at from two different angles, a right one and a wrong one. One who look at it from the right angle will develop the correct and desired attitude towards it, while one who looks at it from the wrong angle will develop an attitude towards it which is erroneous and undesirable in every respect. Now, the question arises as to how to determine which are the right and the wrong angles with respect to the life support system. The only way in which we can do this to learn about the creation plan devised by the Creator. It is through this creation and plan that we should learn which attitude toward the life support system is the right and which attitude is wrong. The creation plan regarding life, which we have been told of by God through his prophets, is that the Creator had created man as an eternal creature with the first span of his life in the pre-death period and the rest of his life a much longer period in the post-death period. The pre-death period is that of a trial and the post-death period is of a reward or punishment. In accordance with how well or badly man has acquitted himself during the period of trial, when human history has run its course, it will terminate with the day of judgment. The happening on that day will be on an epic scale. Then the creator of man will manifest himself in order to meet her rewards or punishments commensurate with the record of human deeds on earth. Those who have passed the test will be blessed with eternal paradise, while those who have failed the test will be cast into eternal hell. In the light of the creation plan of God, we can understand what man's attitude should be regarding life. And the life support system, the right angle in the matter of the life support system is to look at it with the eyes of the creator, and the wrong angle is to look at it as means to satisfy man's personal desires. The former is what makes man's attitude right, and the later is what makes it strong. When you look at it from the viewpoint, then two different stances are adopted regarding life and a life support system. That which is formed in accordance with the plan of the creators, that the life support system, on the contrary, when we took it from the angle, the character, right? And on the contrary, when we look at the from the angle of egocentric, human thinking takes on the character of a mere means of purveying enjoyment. In the first case, life is seen in terms of responsibility, whereas in the second case, life is reduced to an animal level. That is, eat, drink, and be merry, and then live the world in that state. In present times, scientific investigations have discovered the meaningfulness of human life and the life support system to a far greater extent than ever before. This should have resulted in man becoming more serious regarding the purpose of his life and by making proper use of his blessings. He should have acknowledged the giver of blessing to a much greater degree than he did. But the sorry, result has been totally the opposite. Man has the forgotten the reality that the life support system is an actual fact a day support system. Instead, man has looked upon the life support system merely as a means of ensuring enjoyment, and his goal in life has been reduced to securing more and more material things for himself in order to make life increasingly enjoyable. I'm reminded of an experience I once had which taught me a valuable lesson. And this experience of Mr. Maulana Wahiuddin Khan, just reading it. This is highly illustrative of the present state of affairs in 1972. I had occasion to travel to a place of architectural interest in Rajasthan, accompanied by Mufti Muhammad Jamaluddin Kasmi and some others. The building we had come to see was situated on top of an uninhabited hillock. We climbed the road leading up to it in a jeep, and when we reached the top, we witnessed an unimaginably strange sight. A large building with a spacious hall built as a desolate place, possibly by some Raja or other ruler some 200 years ago, was still intact. But there was no trace of human occupancy. On the contrary, there were hundreds of monkeys in and around the building. They scampered about, making shrill, chattering, meaningless noises. There is something unique about the way of a monkey. It can occupy a place with impunity and then run and jump about for no rhyme or reason. This being the state of affairs, we had to be content with seeing the building from the outside and left without entering it. I thought that this serpent monkeys occupying the building did not care who had built it or what purpose it had been built. They were just sleeping about jumping up and down and creating a meaningless clamor. Remaining totally unaware of such questions, they were indulging in activities which were little short of criminal and which were far from the being the proper use of the building. Then I began to wonder whether this criminal use of such a beautiful building would go on. Would its builder eventually appear and punish the monkeys for such outrageous behavior and then hand it over to those whom it was built? Let us reflect on this example. This building had been constructed for a specific purpose, so it should, strictly speaking, have been used for purpose it was intended for. But instead of it has been infested with monkeys, who with gay abandon had begun to indulge in wild, noisy, righteous behavior. This example is analogous. Sorry, I'm sleepy. It's like they're starting जब आप read करते हो तो ऐसा ही होता है. It's okay, we will continue. Analogous to entire world of today, the present planet Earth has become like that building. Only on a far greater scale, the men and women who have spread all over the earth having behaved with extreme irresponsibility. They look at the earth with the sole intention of fulfilling their desires, totally oblivious of the reality of who has built this world and for what purpose. How has this come about in present times when science has discovered and made known the facts of the life support system? The is disseminating them on the greatest possible scale. Exactly at the same time, I'm just looking at how many pages I have to read. It's 20 pages for today, right? I'm impatient, but I'll try. Exactly at the same time, another development has taken places with the coming and into existence of a new culture called the culture of instant gratification. For a variety of reasons, this has happened all over the world. Where enjoyment is constantly sought and environment has been built up in which people have come to expect that everything that exists here is meant for men's enjoyment. Thus, under the influence of the environment, rather than as a result of any rational thinking, the life support system has virtually assumed the position of an enjoyment support system and thus has reduced human society to an animal level. What is the difference between men and the animals? The difference lies in the fact that while an animal is aware only of its own interests, men ideally, beside being aware of his personal interests, recognize its responsibility and fulfill its demands. But in the world of today, it appears that this difference has been obliterated. Human culture today is little better than the culture of the animals. Beside the apparent differences, there seem to be no real difference. But this is not a simple matter. This clearly amount to deviating from the path of nature. And the deviation from the path of nature always becomes the cause of double deprivation. That is to say, deprivation in the pre-death period as well as the post-death period. By misusing his freedom in the world, man can deviate from the path of nature, but he has not the power to save himself from the fatal consequences of save himself from the doing so. So this is the greatest danger facing the human being of today. What it means to be deprived in the pre-death period can be understood by everyone, judging from his own personal experiences. Everyone has an attractive goal before him. He spent all his time and energy attempting to reach this goal he has set for himself. But we find that without having the means to fulfill his desires, which is sure indication that according to the creation plan, the means to fulfill desires desires have not been placed in previous stage of life. Man, in fact, has been given this desire so that he may understand the reality of life and plan his life accordingly. It should also be borne in mind that man is unique in understanding the concept of tomorrow. The animals are also living creatures, but no animal certain has such a concept. The limited animal mind only knows the present. It has no inkling of the future. Whereas man's practical experience tells him that in the present world he may anticipate the future, although it is seldom clear whether his desire for the future are achievable. A clue lies hidden in this reality. This clue tells man that due to his limitations, the future he desires has not been destined for him in this world. So, in order to find this desired future in the next stages of life, after that, he has to make the necessary preparation in this present world. In the present world, किताब पढ़ते ही नींद आने लगती है. May be likened to an examination hall. The examination hall duly caters for the basic requirements of the student, but it does not provide for the means to the fulfillment of his desires or her desires. Therefore, the student who regard the examinations hall as just an examination hall and nothing more will not fall a prey to frustration, whereas the student who come to regard the examination hall as to mean the fulfillment of his desires will find there nothing but frustration. According to the creation plan of the Creator, the present world is meant as a testing ground, and the life support system here provides only for the requisites of the trial man has to undergo. Now those who regard the world merely as a testing ground and lead their lives accordingly will not fall a prey to frustration, but those who regard this world as a place which ought to provide for the fulfillment of their desire will experience utter despair and frustration, for according to the creation plan, this world by design has not been equipped to fulfill their desires. According to the Creator's creation plan, the right and successful way for a man to lead his life on this planet Earth is to regard this place as one of the trial rather than of enjoyment. Oh, sleepy girl. Let's continue. It's been 17 minutes. I'm reading. That's a good habit. We'll build upon. Where is a life? According to creation plan, the right and successful way for a man to lead his life on the present planet Earth to regard this place as one of the trial, rather than of enjoyment. One who desires the soul will be blessed with eternal success in the next life. A life lived with this concept of testing in mind is quite distinct with that which has lived with the concept of enjoyment to be had at all cost. The plans for both this kind of life are totally different from one another. To further illustrate this point, I should like here to cite some instances of both kind of life. The basic difference in this matter is one of thinking. The concept of test develops the creator-oriented thinking. One who is imbued with this concept tries to find out in the storm of created plans of creator what he should do and what he should not do. On the contrary, one whose concept of life is based on enjoyment will inevitably indulge in self-oriented thinking. He imagines he is to be governed only by his own will rather than by someone other than himself as a superior being. One who subscribes to the theory that the earth is a testing ground will focus on such activities as will reap a reward in the life hereafter. However, one who believes in the theory that the earth is a place for enjoyment will engage in such activities as improve his worldly life. So, test oriented thinking makes a man content as regard wealth. He will remain content if his basic requirements. um, I'm very good reader, like sleepy reader. I'll focus on searching a report award in the life you have. However, one who believes in the theory that the earth is a place for enjoyment will engage in such activities as improve his worldly life. So, test oriented thinking makes a man content as regard wealth. He will remain content if his basic requirements are provided for. On the contrary, enjoyment oriented thinking will always lead to the endeavor to accumulate more and more wealth. There is no limit to human greed. If a man who has developed this test oriented thinking has a small car and his friends want him to buy a bigger car, he will say, I don't want to make my test paper more difficult. By contrast, the enjoyment oriented person will always be striving not only for a bigger and bigger car but also for many more cars. The test oriented person will keep himself away from the futile entertainment, for he will consider it to be a distraction. Conversely, the enjoyment oriented person will jump into the fray of the entertainment culture regardless of the amount of time and money he will be squandering. The test oriented person will avoid all necessary wastage of money, time, food, water, and above all words. Unlike him, the enjoyment oriented person will not attach any importance to wasteful expenditure. The test oriented person will consider himself bound by moral values, whereas the latter personal interest and not moral values is supreme. According to the creation plan of this creator, what is important is this matter is what kind of personality is being nurtured in a man while he experiences different set of situations, whether it be a God-oriented personality or a self-oriented personality. Just as a man has constantly to acquire food in the present world for his physical existence, so also does a spiritual existence require a continual supply of spiritual food. It is the spiritual food which develops a man the God oriented personality. What is spiritual food? It is the truth accepted by man, whether it comes to him from his own people or someone else. That means that his thinking should not be the result of conditioning. He should form his opinion unaffected by his immediate circumstances. His life should be one of the things given an acknowledgement rather than of ingratitude and denial. He should respond positively, even in a negative situation. He should temper his use of freedom by self imposed discipline, adhering to justice in all situations, even if it goes against his interest. He should keep before him the eternal rewards of the hereafter rather than the temporary gains of this world. Those who regard the present world as a testing ground and lead their life accordingly will be lodged in the hereafter in the eternal gardens in a close proximity to their creator. Those, on the other hand, who regard this world merely as a place of enjoyment will finally face the dreadful consequences of being denied access to the eternal world. They will have nothing but deprivation and frustration in for them. Wow, is it in 23 minutes? And we have read the first chapter, Human Destiny. And the next chapter I will be reading tomorrow. And this is the first day. It's okay to read 23 minutes. Next day we will try to do at least 25 minutes. Good night. Bye bye. So I started my reading journey from today, 18th of January, Sunday. Hope so. I will consistently do this, and after completing this, the next, and complete all this book in this 2026. Cheers to all, and you can just listen it, or you can share to your friends, and always the dialogue. Like, share, subscribe. Bye bye.